How about D line? I mean, you mentioned Abdul Carter. I texted you early in the season. He's a linebacker conversion. I said I don't know if I'm ready for him yet as a true edge, but he looks like he's coming on. Do you have a top three D lineman list that we could talk about, and then we'll maybe talk about some of the depth at both edge and on the interior?
I do. I think Abdul Carter's one. I think he's the best edge rusher. I just think I see an athlete like that, and he reminds me. I mean, him and Chop Robinson are similar caliber, similar like tiers of athlete. He feels just a little bit more powerful than even Robinson did coming out, and a little bit more fluid. Robinson got a little herky jerky at times, but like you're seeing Robinson at the next level already being, probably after Jared Verse, the second most productive rookie pass rusher because of just what athletes at that level can do in modern NFL schemes and modern NFL blitzes, whether it's stunting, slanting, whatnot. There's such a problem. And so Abdul Carter, it's like maybe he's not refined yet, but he can be such a problem in the right scheme just because you can't get hands on him when a guy's athletic. So big fan of his game. After that, I think Mason Graham, the Michigan DT, is next on my list. Those are the two guys who it's like they'll be good. After those two, no one I really feel confident saying for sure is going to make it at the next level as either edge or defensive interior guy. I don't think anyone's reached that caliber of prospect, but those two will be high-end productive players at the next level. I feel very confident saying that. Graham on the interior, I don't think he's quite, the power that we saw from Jalen Carter or quite the quicks we saw from Quinn Williams, your two probably best DT prospects of the past half decade. But I think he's a nice blend of the two and already pretty refined for just a junior coming out. And so that's a guy that, you need a DT. He's versatile. Any position on the interior, draft him. Just be happy you got him. After that, third one's really up in the air, even for me right now. Like I think it'll probably change between now and draft day, truthfully. But Mikel Williams, the Georgia defensive end, is probably the guy I'm going right now, just because of how freaky he is and just that combination that he has. It's like he's not there yet, but it's very easy to see him getting there. And I think even compared to Travon Walker and him coming out of Georgia, I like Mikel Williams' tools better in how they'll translate to the NFL because you see the lateral twitch. I think with Travon Walker, what was always missing from his game was his ability to react and kind of shed inside, outside. He had to go through guys consistently. And that's, you've seen him win like that at the NFL, but it's not a consistent way to win. You have to keep them honest and not just be able to sit down on you consistently. And Michael Williams, I think, can. Now, he's not refined, but he's got super long arms. He's super twitchy, and he's 265 pounds. So he's not just, he's not one of these lighter guys. He can really be a versatile piece to your defense. So those are my top three. I think all three are going to be top 10 picks, I'll say. But I think this defensive line class, you're going to see a ton of different orders when it's all said and done with how these guys shake out.
Yeah, I think those the top two, Abdul Carter, I don't know if we'll get to a full consensus on him, but I think most people will see him as a top 10. Mason Graham, I wondered about his arm length and maybe some of the basic measurables that come out if those end up hurting him, but the dude can play. Mikel Williams is interesting. I think Nate Tice may have been earliest on him, calling Williams his best player. I'm kind of with you as like a more polished, better version of Travon Walker with similar level of freakiness when it comes to length and movement skills and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if he runs 4.51, and Walker was weird because I honestly thought that his best, like he looked at his best when he was in space moving as opposed to like in a tight quarters moving, which, it's two
we saw
different
the
types of
fumble
athleticism.
return a couple weeks ago against the Eagles. He looked incredible. He's like Miles Jack, like put that dude at running back.
Well, I said after seeing that, I would genuinely consider moving him to tight end. I don't know what his hands are like, but that ability
Yes.
it doesn't help at all with rushing the passer, right? Like what he was doing is not weaving in and out like that. It can help a little bit. Like that at tight end to me could be special, and especially at his size with his length. I don't know. I'm just intrigued. I'm surprised that we've never seen him there at any point. Like even like a JJ Watt role, toss him up, went up at the goal line. I think he
Yeah,
could do
try a
something
few
nice
snaps.
now. Yeah.
It's funny because the first couple of years when the Jags would drop him into coverage every now and then, he'd make a few plays in coverage where I was impressed. I'm not moving him to linebacker, but I've been most impressed with Travon Walker of the Jags in space and carrying a football rather than rushing the passer so far.
Weird.
There's so many other names, though. This does feel like the depth at edge and defensive line, when you talk about maybe mid to late first round, second rounders, feels way deeper than all of the other positions that we've discussed today. Would you agree with that?
100%. I actually, the depth at edge might be one of the deepest when all said and done. Now it depends on who declares and who comes back, but there's more guys who I'm like, man, I'd love to have that guy in the second round that I can never remember. And I don't love second round edges, but I think this class has a number of guys that I am interested in. The one guy I keep going back to that I'm like, man, I want to put him in the first round based off his tape, but it's Central Arkansas tape. And he's going against Noah.
Why do we keep having a celebration in your background there too?
Oh, is that? Oh, is it what I'm doing with my hands?
I hope so.
We're just having technical issues galore.
No, those aren't issues. Those are features, not bugs.
Those are features. So I'm celebrating David Walker, the Central Arkansas defensive end.
Yes.
Because you watch the tape and it's just about as dominant as it can get. And I'll tell a story about the one rep that sold me. Because it's just him tracking backside of outside zone. But his defensive tackle either gets backdoored or like his defensive tackle is running on the backside of outside zone and kind of like is actually going like towards him as Walker's coming in. And they're kind of moving towards each other at about the same speed. And David Walker, they hit shoulder to shoulder. Defensive tackle crumples to the ground, and David Walker like keeps going as if he didn't even feel that he just hit his own teammate. Like the level of power that this guy just has in his frame is so outstanding on tape that I just need to see what it looks like against a real offensive tackler. I need to see what it looks like against, I don't know, who's going to face the senior role, Ariante Ursary or whatever. Like, give him against some reps against a real tackle. But just from what I've seen on tape, I think he could be a first rounder from Central Arkansas. But we'll see. It's hard to really compare, though, when you're watching a guy and his level of competition.
You think he's got that speed to power that you're looking for, or just strength? Because he's kind of built like a bowling ball, the way he's running around out there.
He's kind of like a Brandon Graham build. And I think that's kind of
that's
a good get from at the next level.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You don't always get that Central Arkansas hype because he's stayed there too. He's had multiple productive seasons there in the portal era, right? I mean, that's a guy that if he's hitting the portal is probably one of the top edges for SEC teams to be looking at, and he stayed at Central Arkansas and has been extremely productive there.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Verse, he came from Albany, and then stock went through the roof. David Walker, I don't know who gave him the advice, and obviously maybe he's just loyal, but if he was doing what he's doing right now, or even close to whether it was in the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, any major conference, that guy would be a first rounder.
Any other names to know? Because I watch Ole Miss. I think Walter Nolan. Do you think Walter Nolan could be the next guy that sneaks up into the top 10 to 15? Maybe.
I think he could. Right now, him and Mason Graham's DT1 for me. Deion Walker, the Kentucky DT, is DT2, and then Walter Nolan's DT3 for me. I don't know about top 10, but maybe because if it's not a good class, draft through the trenches, right? You'll probably see all DTs, DNs, and OTs in the top 10. And maybe a wide receiver, maybe one wide receiver sneaks in there. The other one probably goes right outside the top 10. But if it's not a good class, you might as well try to put some money in the bank in the trenches. And so Nolan's, in terms of just sheer explosiveness, probably more so than even Graham, more so than even Walker. Like, he can get off the line of scrimmage and get into an offensive lineman's pads and like really reset. So still developing, still probably not, but he's only junior, so DTs usually come out older than edges on the whole. So if he does declare, I think you can bank on him developing even more than your average DT prospect.
That Ole Miss defensive line is absolutely loaded prospects and youngsters. I mean, they showed it against Georgia just a few weeks ago. You mentioned David Walker as an extra name to know. Anyone else you want to add to the list, or your guys to keep an eye on?
Oof. I will throw one name in. I don't think he declares, but probably say for next year's draft, Quandarius Robinson, Alabama edge rusher. And I'm not like breaking any ground saying that Alabama edge rusher is going to be good, but he's skinny right now. He's just undersized. But the bend this guy has at like 6'5", 240 is awesome to watch. And just if he can get some strength behind him, I think that guy's going to be a first rounder. But I bet he comes back to school. So there's your 2026 first rounder, Quandarius Robinson.
Are you stealing that from your coworker, Rick Spielman? Because
Is Rick hyping him up?
yes, he mentioned him on this show just a few weeks ago. That was one of his guys.
I did not. Okay, well, there we go.
Because Rick was on campus at Bama, and he suggested that he's going to run in the 4.5s, and that he's got like 36-inch arms, that he's going to just break all those freak show type of records when it comes to measurables. So, I figured you guys were in cahoots or something.
No,
talking about it.
I did not see that episode, unfortunately. Sorry, Rick.
No, that's fine.
Stealing your guy.
I don't expect you to listen to get other people's takes. You got to stay laser. That's what I do. I don't watch other NFL shows. You got to stay laser focused on your own, so you don't get swayed.
Exactly.
I think there's a lot. We'll be talking a lot about defensive linemen. There's so many guys to watch that I think can get at least in the first 3 rounds. There's a slew of edges and interior defensive linemen in this draft.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.